to go off, and they can then just have some fun and just let all that hard work that they've been doing all year, and all that hard work will pay off right now.
Here we go. The Foot Locker National Cross Country Championships about to get underway.
The 2016 Foot Locker National Championship, our 38th annual, and we are off to a quick start. Our course, for those of you unfamiliar with our great Morley Field course, virtually unchanged for 38 years, so they'll follow the same steps as Meb, Molly, and Drew, and the rest of the great athletes that have come before. Our first 500 meters, pretty much a downhill, so we should get off to a very quick start. And just as she has done in every race she has run this year, in the blue, going right to the front, the sophomore from Malibu, Claudia Lane.
That's not entirely unexpected, Tim.
Not at all, but right with her. And she mentioned Alyssa Aldridge right with her. Alyssa said, now she said last year she went out a little bit hard. So Carrie, she's going to split that difference a little bit, try to go with them, I guess, be wrapped up in it. So Alyssa right with Claudia there through the first 400 meters.
You know, it always feels good to get out and get in your position. You know, I always say in cross country, where you want to finish, you should be able to see it. Although we have seen the likes of Sarah Hall come from the way back and win this race. But, you know, oftentimes when you're a cross-country athlete, if you can't see that position you want to finish in, you're in a hard spot. So I think a lot of these girls that are out there right now, they want to be where they think they should be. And so we did talk to Nevada Moreno yesterday, though, and she said, I am not interested in going out as fast as we did last year. Wayne Colati took it out hard, and you know, Nevada said that's not how I want to race. I want to race more consistently. So we'll see how this works out for her today.
Well, your Midwest girl certainly going out well right there. Looks like Forsyth right with her also, right with Claudia Lane. You know, it's interesting. I always think, like when Molly said, if you come from a small school, now Claudia's been running in small division. She's from Malibu High, which is a relatively small school in California. So she's running in Division 4, a smaller school's division. So they're used to running all by themselves. And I don't think, other than in the very first race of the year, Claudia Lane has even had somebody on her shoulder. So what does that do for her right now? Sure, she's gone out well. We're at 600 meters in the race, and there's people with her.
That is a very hard thing to handle. You know, I grew up in a rural part of Minnesota, and I didn't have a lot of people on my shoulder until I got to state. And it is something that a lot of the athletes have to work their mind around to figure out, how do I stay calm and not think, oh my gosh, I'm not having the best day because I'm not 20 seconds in the lead. So that is a big part. I think Molly was really smart to bring that up.
All right, so Ann Forsyth right there on her shoulder. And here we're coming up to our first split of the day. And we go by 800 meters. Claudia Lane is our leader right at 2:35, so a very quick, looking at somewhere around 5:10 for that first mile. Ann Forsyth right behind her, Loren Peterson, Heather Holt, Kyla Christopher. We see India Johnson, Alyssa Aldridge right there, splitting that difference a little bit. Looks like Moreno in that top 10. Now they'll head around the pool, and as we mentioned, this is a great course because it's so different. It's not a road course, it's not a flat course, it's a little hilly everywhere, it's up and down, but we have some sharp turns. You got to be careful right here because we got 4 sharp turns right in a row, and you could lose the group.
You go from dirt to that bark and then onto the grass here, Tim.
And here they come right back by the start lane. Claudia Lane right there running well. Forsyth right with her also. The Midwest girls, India Johnson moving up. Aldridge staying right there. Moreno coming up now a little bit. I think she's going to have to get out of that plan just a little bit there, Carrie. She can't afford to let him get too far out front.
Yeah, Moreno has a ton of leg speed. I mean, she's run 2.0s for the 800, 207, 208 range, and she is someone that you do not want on your shoulder with 400 meters to go, but she has to make sure to keep that gap within reason. And we already see Claudia Lane looking over her shoulder to see what she's doing, and she looks like she wants to put some damage on in that first mile.
They're picking it up. Right here we go. So this is very, Meb has cautioned everybody twice, watch for the hill ascendant. We haven't even got there the first time, and Claudia Lane putting the hammer down. My goodness, she is out well. Forsyth there still in second, but very, very rarely do we see in a race like this anybody be able to get rid of this field this early. So this is a bold move by Claudia Lane, the sophomore from Malibu, out very quickly. We're at about 1,200 meters. They'll make a big U-turn there, another little bit of flat to the mile mark, and then we hit the hill for the first time.
You know, we've talked a lot about Claudia Lane's sophomore records, and she's competing against those times with the likes of Julia Stamps. I mean, we've seen Julia win here and just sort of tear it up in the state of California and all over the country. But, you know, for Claudia to have her name in that group, that's pretty special, Tim. And you know more about the stats that Claudia has and the ladies that she's running with.
You know, the course records that she's established this year for sophomores, Julia Stamps, Jordan Hasse, they're just all these records. Jessica Tan was the West Regional. All these girls that she has run faster than as sophomores, and incredible. Sarah Baxter, 16:32 at Mount Sac as a sophomore, was thought to be almost unapproachable, and she broke that. So she has broken a who's who. And here we go through our first mile, right at 5:18 for the first mile. So that is very fast. And there she is pushing up the hill. Claudia Lane, Forsyth right there in second, and looks like Marino, well, she got her 5:23 and not too far out of it. So she looks in good shape there, moving up well. She's 5:24 her split. Peterson's in fourth. Aldridge starts the hill in fifth. India Johnson right there in sixth. Jacqueline Gaughan right there in seventh. So 5:18, Nevada Marino 6 seconds back as they hit the mile mark.
And as they come around here and they're going to see maybe even some friendly faces and hear the crowd, this is definitely the largest grouping of spectators here. Does that give you a little extra oomph going into that second part of the race?
Oh, totally. You know, for a lot of us athletes, it was just to get through that first lap, and then the race really begins the second lap. So you want to stay within yourself, you want to stay calm, and then you want to be able to attack that second lap.
What a great shot. There she is across that. That hill is almost 400 meters from the very bottom to the very top. It does kind of level out a little bit here on the top, that part. And then they'll turn on to Upas, and it is a flying fast downhill. It will be very quick, and it looks like Marino trying to move up there, trying to get right up into that second place, right with Forsyth. And we say regional winners all the time. Well, here we go. The regional winners, 1, 2, 3, right there. Everybody's looking. Claudia Lane has really set the hammer down, and it is either go with her or get lost. And Marino's trying to shorten that distance a little bit, maybe cut it in half, maybe a little faster than she wanted to, but she can't let her get too far away, Carrie. Otherwise, it's just going to be too hard to catch her.
Yeah, you know, the one thing with Marino yesterday when we were talking with her, she was very reserved and telling us her plans and saying what she expected. She's a top returner. She has got a lot of pressure on her. She's a senior. And, you know, last year, this was a new game for her. She's a soccer player. She was in gymnastics. She was doing all kinds of things. And she came to this sport, and now she calls herself a runner. She has gotten away from those other events. And for her to have that pressure of now being that runner, solely a runner, being the top returner, and all eyes sort of on her, she kind of said to us, I'm just trying to go out there and run my race. And she is running her race. She stuck to her plan. She didn't want to go out too fast the first mile. And you know what? She might be the one to really watch here on this lap.
You know, very smart race. She realized that Claudia's gone out fast, but she did not want to go out that fast. But she has sort of split that difference, and she is right there within shouting distance of her, and we're just about halfway through. Now, they'll come back over to the start line area, and once they pass the start line, that is our 1.5 miles, and then they'll head up, and once they pass the finish line, then we know we have 1.5 miles to finish. So 5,000 meters, and here we come right by the start area into the big part of the crowd. Claudia Lane, the sophomore from Malibu, as she has all year. The gun goes off, and she takes off, but Marino continues to close that gap, and she is closing that gap, Carrie. We're down, it was 6 seconds at the mile. We're down to about 3 or 4 seconds now, and we're setting ourselves up for a great last 1.5 miles.
You know, Wayne Colati last year didn't go out too hard. She was 5:31 at the mile, but she slowly kind of squeezed it down, and it was right at the finish there where we saw the girls champion last year. It could be the same kind of thing today.
You know, and Steve,
squeezing that pace down.
You talk about that state battle. Look at that. That's wide open. Nobody really dominating as a state here. Everybody moving well. This could be a great battle, both team-wise also. All right, so here we head down into what they call the dog park loop here. It's a long U-turn here, a little bit of a downhill. Boy, it's hard to imagine that it's going to not be one of those two, Carrie. Can somebody get both of them? Looks like Forsyth got them in sight there, but they're out.
Tim, as we see Claudia running there, how aware is she of what's happening behind her?
Well, that's a good point, because all year it's all been behind her. She hasn't really chased anybody. The only girl that beat her, she got beaten the very first meet of the year by Bree Oakley. It was at called the Woodbridge Invitational, very flat course. And I don't think even Claudia knew how good she was at that point. And she has just got stronger and stronger. And as we said, has been watching.
I was waiting for her to take a peek, and there it was.
Yep, she's been taking a peek at the right times. And let's remind all of you guys, she has only been running for 1 year. This is a new runner. She has not been running since 7th grade. She is a sophomore, but she started running in 9th grade. So for her to take a look at the right times, I mean, she's really smart with how she's running. When I was, first starting, I was looking around almost running into poles. So, I mean, she's already got me beat there.
Well, it has certainly turned into a two-girl race. And certainly Marino has the credentials for that great speed on the track. We can't say that Claudia has because she hasn't really gone through a track season at this level. So this will be interesting for her and certainly new ground. And we are setting ourselves up for the youngster, the sophomore here, the experienced senior coming up behind her. And we are heading for the last mile. So we're coming up. We'll get a 2-mile split here in just about another 150 yards, but it looks like Marino closing that gap there. Claudia Lane from Malibu in the blue of the west. Nevada Marino trying to move up there in the red from the south, but they are quite a distance out now of everybody else. A little bit of uphill heading to the 2-mile.
If things stay the way they are right now, Tim, it looks like we're going to have a really exciting finish for first place and perhaps a really exciting finish for third place.
Yeah, it looks like maybe third, fourth, all that in there. All these girls trying to be in that top 5, that great All-American first team status here. So as we go by at 2 miles there, 10:55 for Claudia Lane and 11 flat for Nevada Marino. So 5-second lead. Rebecca Story, that's the one we mentioned earlier, has run that 9:59. Now starting to move up, gives the South second and third. Forsyth hanging right there. She's in fourth. Kieran Nelson in 5th. Jacqueline Gahn in 6th. India Johnson, she's very experienced, also running very well in 7th. And they'll come back right by the start line. And Marino closing that gap now. That gap down to just a couple seconds. Claudia Lane, Nevada Marino, and then a huge gap to third. So 17 seconds at the 2-mile. Rebecca Story moved up well into third.
So if we look at the top 2 and compare their miles and 2-mile time, Claudia Lane is a 5:09 and an 11-minuter. And you look at Nevada Marino, and she's a 4:43 and 10 flat. So just showing the difference. And obviously Nevada is she's a senior, so she's a little bit older. But just to see the difference in speed, and now, like you said, to have Claudia Lane have her first real track season this coming spring after having such a great cross-country year, it's going to be fun to see how her times come down.
It's a great, you see the experience of Marino here. She's not panicking. She hasn't tried to move up, hasn't tried to close that. Just step by step by step. And boy, this second hill, Meb told us earlier, the hill the second time, that is where a lot of things shake out. This will be interesting as they go up there. Marino continues to close that gap, and they continue to grow that gap over that 3rd through 10th spot here.
I always say one of the most important things as a runner now, and as Claudia Lane is coming up and getting ready to finish this race, she can't panic if Nevada goes by her or just comes and sits on her. She has to know that she can do this. If she really has something left in her, she needs to stay mentally in it, almost more so than physically. The mind plays so much during these races, and she has to be able to believe in herself if she does come up on her here.
Certainly new territory for Claudia Lane. Now, she hasn't been anybody close to her at the end of a race here in several months here, and here we are heading up to the hill. And Marino continues to close that gap and is now right on her shoulder. Claudia Lane, a quick look back, and here we go. They'll cross the road, and then we go to the hill.
So what's going to happen? Is Nevada going to go blowing by on the hill? Is she going to sit? Is she excited just to close that gap? Is Claudia saving something right now? This is the interesting part here.
Marino looks really confident. She looks this way. She wants to be right where she is, right there, right on her shoulder there. Looking back a little bit, Rebecca Story, though, moving well in third. And Forsyth right there, as she has been the Midwest Regional Champion. She's trying to move up a little bit. Kieran Nelson from the West also doing well. And Jacqueline Gahn, she's run a great race. She's there halfway up the hill, and we don't have any break. Claudia Lane still there, our leader. And right on her shoulder, Nevada Marino.
This is the hardest part of the course right here. I think you get almost up to the top of the hill and you're not there. There's that little part alongside of the road up there, and it feels like you're still climbing.
Carrie, to your point, Moreno, it looks like she is content with her strategy to sit right there behind her.
Yeah, I don't know if Claudia has pushed and doesn't want her to go by her, or if Nevada's thinking, okay, I'm going to reserve myself and use that 800-meter speed that I have over the last 600, 400 meters. And to me, I would think that would be her strategy. And I also think that Claudia now needs to maybe start pushing as she goes down this hill. And this is quick now. From here on out, it's like a blink of an eye. So this is an exciting part of the race.
Just a little bit less than 800 meters to go now. Claudia Lane using the downhill a little bit.
And she's definitely putting distance on her.
She is. She certainly is. They'll get to that downhill, and it really is an uphill finish. I know everybody thinks we have the hills are over, but it's tough. And even Drew Hunter mentioned, you get to the last part, you get to the 3 mile, and you still got to go uphill. Until you see that finish line, there's not going to be another little downhill segment. But here we go. 2 girls here trying to win a national championship. This is the race everybody thought we would see, and it is going to come down to that. Across the road, Claudia Lane of Malibu, Nevada Marino of Leesville Road. There they go. Little bit of uphill. Marino coming up. Once they make that turn, we'll be within a quarter mile here.
Claudia Lane's been leading from start to finish here, basically. She's had a lot of pressure on her for someone as young as she is to know that Nevada Marino is right there, right behind her.
Every time Marino moves up, Claudia responds and opens it back up, and then Marino closes it. Here we come up. They're coming by the 3 mile mark right now. Here we go. Just about 150 meters to a national championship. Claudia Lane, the sophomore in the blue. Marino, the senior in the red. Lane, she's found another gear. That's the gear she hasn't had to use all year. And she's got it. She's starting to pull away. An incredible finish for the sophomore from Malibu. Oh my. Coming down, Marino trying to use that downhill a little bit. But Claudia Lane, she will be the Foot Locker National Champion. The smile. A great race from Nevada Marino to finish in second. 2 outstanding runners. Oh my. Rebecca Story has run very well, a great race, separated herself. She is going to give the South a 2-3 finish. Forsyth and Johnson running very well. And here we go, right here in the midst here, a good team battle here. The Northeast all running together. Looks like the Northeast will have 5 before anybody else. But the Story, Claudia Lane, oh my, her winning time, 17:05, Marino 17:09, Story 17:36, Johnson 17:46, Forsyth 17:47, Fagan 17:49, Kieran Nelson 17:49. Wow.
To see Claudia Lane just execute that race so perfectly. Every time she was tested, she reacted. And to see how she planned that finishing kick, she is a class act of a runner, and who would ever know that she is a sophomore?
And you got to give Nevada Marino a lot of credit. Talk about pressure. Steve, you mentioned that the pressure of this is unbearable, really, because it's gone on for her probably since we left last year. We left Morley Field. Everybody said, well, hey, you're the top returner. You've got the speed. You're going to be the one. And she was. And she gave us a great race. She really did. She stayed within her race, didn't she, Carrie?
She executed her plan as well. I mean, she really wanted to have a smart race, and she wasn't so concerned. I mean, everyone wants to win this race. That's, we obviously know that's the point of this whole sport. But she wasn't putting that pressure on herself. She wanted to have a solid race, and I can't tell you. I mean, I think she had a pretty solid race.
Gosh, I want to know if she knew she had that kick. She hadn't had to use that all year.
Yeah.
She hasn't had anybody near her at the finish anywhere close over the last several months. I'd like to know if she knew. And boy, oh boy, can you wait for track season? That's a 10-minute 2-miler right there,
I
sophomore.
know.
And who knows, next year she'll be back here as the defending champion. Oh my my goodness.
I
Claudia
just love
Lane.
that she splits faster on the cross country course than she has run on the track.
Oh boy, I was sure going up that hill that second time. Boy, that's tough. Marina just looked so good right there.
Yeah.
But what a race and what a smile. That smile, you didn't see it for 3 miles. And that last .1, that was a victory lap going over that last little hill. What
But
a race.
I definitely think when someone comes up on you, and you know the caliber of runner that's coming up on you, regardless of who it is, you know the caliber of all these athletes out here. But to see Claudia Lane react that way on the hill, not get nervous and not overly go overly fast because you know she's there. She was well reserved, and she slowly pressed it. And I think that is just such a smart way to race. And she will look back at that race and say, I nailed that one.
Yeah, you know what? We talked about the history of the event so much here the last couple days here. Well, here is the history lesson for Claudia Lane now. What a great experience this was at this level here, that she's now had that experience here as just a 15-year-old sophomore, coming out of Malibu High School in California. Next couple years will be so exciting for her, but there's the next Molly Huddle or Carrie Tollison right there, huh?
I think Molly Huddle. I had a great career, but I think Molly Huddle's well on her way to being the best that we've seen.
She joins that family of you Olympians. She's going to be there someday. Boy, Nevada Marino and Claudia Lane, great race. Rebecca Story, get lost in there. Boy, she separated herself. Those are two pretty good girls out front. And Rebecca, that's a great race for her because she's sort of like Claudia. She hadn't had a lot of big races to race against people like all these other people have.
Yep.
And so, boy, they really stepped forward. What a great race.
It is such a fun glimpse into the future of the sport when you talk about collegiate national championships and indoor championships and maybe the Olympics for some of these ladies. They really did run a great race, and it was fun to see some of the other faces maybe that didn't get the name recognition throughout the race but certainly deserved to be here and part of this race, to see them all come across the finish line, and big smiles for a lot of them. Speaking of the finish line, let's head downstairs and let's catch up with our winner. Emily, take it away.
Thank you. I'm here with Claudia Lane, the sophomore, first time here, ran a very brave, amazing performance. Can you talk us through that race and your game plan going into today? Yeah, just talk us through what was going on in your mind during the race and beforehand.
So before the race, I was really scared, but I was ready to challenge myself, and I hoped to get top 3. And then through the race, the amazing runner in Nevada, she was right behind me, so it pushed me to go faster. So I think that definitely helped me.
And it looked like you were saving a bit of a kick at the end, even though you were running really strong from the front. Did you have that in the back of your mind that you wanted to switch gears at the very end in case Nevada came up?
Yeah, so at about 600 meters, I knew I wanted to sprint and give a kick at the end to, escape my competitors and stuff, so I did.
And how do you sum up how you're feeling right now?
Really happy. I'm really grateful for this, so thank you so much. Yeah.
Congratulations. Back to you, Carrie.
Thanks, Emily. How fun is it for her to be able to, this is Emily's first time interviewing, but also how fun is it to be able to talk to Claudia Lane after such an amazing race?
What's it like down there for all those athletes? I mean, they've got to be relaxed at this point. Is it finally, there's so much pressure, just 40 girls.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no place to hide here.
No place to hide.
If you have and I wouldn't say a bad race, if you just don't have a really good race, you're back in the pack, and that's, like I said, there's no place to hide. So I think there's a lot of relief. It's
pretty fun to see all the athletes from the different teams high-fiving, and you see all those cute outfits that New Balance has given them too. They're looking so great and having a great time.
Well, Nevada Moreno, we mentioned it, really did have such a strong race there. Couldn't quite catch Claudia there at the finish line, but a lot to be proud of. Let's talk to Emily, who has her at the finish line.
Nevada, tell me what you were thinking when Claudia went out as fast as she did from the gun. Was your strategy just to hold back and try to reel her in, or tell me what was going through your mind?
Yeah, I think I ended up doing something similar to what I did last year. I was in the middle of the pack at the mile mark, and then, a lot of the girls that I think were kind of taken by the beginning of the race and went out a little bit fast, I just reeled them in a little bit in the 2 mile and got myself into position.
Well, you ran phenomenally. That was a great performance, 2 great years in a row. So best of luck to you, everything in the future. Back to you.
I think back to the finish there, and by the finish line, I think it was almost done. We knew who was going to win. The question was on that hill there.
Yeah.
That was very impressive. I mean, Claudia Lane, that's fast. and that's a pretty good hill that second time through. And I really, she's got great confidence, but I wonder how confident she really was, because like we said, every other time she's going up those hills, there's nobody chasing her. Right there, Marina, right on her shoulder. Boy, I'd like to know, did she know she had that gear at the end? Because man, oh man, that was outstanding.
There was sort of a second battle going on, and we had our eyes and the cameras fixated on those top two there. But in third place, Rebecca Story had to pull away to grab that position and to finish in the top three. Let's head downstairs to Emily, who has Rebecca.
Hi, I'm with Rebecca, who finished third today. She's only a junior, and she ran great again. And I just want to ask you how the race played out for you. Was this your plan going in today, just to hang back and then wind it down at the end? And tell me about it.
I didn't really want to go out too super fast. I wanted to be in like the front pack a little bit, and then move my way up. So I think I executed the plan pretty well and really worked on the hills, used the downhill to propel me to the finish line.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you back here next year. So thanks so much. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Emily. And of course,